What's going on, good people? What is going on, good people? You see the hat. Giants versus everybody, no matter what. Starting off with, let's just get that out of the way. Giants versus everybody, no matter what. And there's a lot of no matter what going on right now. Between from the last 2 days, Sunday and today have been chock full of information. We've seen this morning ESPN get into the mix when it comes to the critique of Daniel Jones. We've seen Dan Orlovsky on YouTube. We've seen JT O'Sullivan with his recap of the preseason game for Daniel Jones. And listen, I don't understand how, as a Giants fan, again, we are rooting for the Giants to win, right? We are rooting for the Giants to be good. Why people will not accept what other people are saying. People that have nothing to do, with the Giants. Like, what is it about somebody giving you information that you don't like, that you can't trust? And even when they're breaking it down right in front of you, you still have these excuses, if you want to call them excuses, for the quarterback. Now, I put out my recap of the game. I told people how I felt about the game. I told people about some of the decisions that Daniel Jones made. And I noticed that a lot of people keep using the word rust. Rust. Oh, that's just rust. He hasn't played in months. It's just rust. For me, rust is a little bit different, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. I'm not saying that you should think this way. I'm just giving you my opinion. When you're talking about rust, you can blame some bad ball placement on being rusty. You can blame an underthrown ball on rust, an overthrown ball on rust, a high ball on rust. You can blame that on rust. You can't blame decision making on rust. Bad decision making has nothing to do with rust, especially when you've seen the same guy make the same mistakes previously. And yes, Daniel Jones had worked on his interceptions. He did drop the amount of turnovers he's had since his first year. But with that, you hope to see some growth. You hope to see, some improvement in the decision making. And that's probably one of the biggest issues that people are having with Daniel Jones, not just right now, but since he's been here. And I don't understand how people can get mad at other people when they point out the obvious. Here's the thing. I don't even have to say anything. I can just throw up the clip and people can see with their own eyes what happened. It's poor decision making. No need to defend it. No need to bash him either. It's bad decision making. But I do notice that it's not the fans bashing the team, it's the fans bashing the opinions of other fans, which everybody has an opinion. You don't have to agree with everything somebody says. I would hope that people will respect people's opinions, but again, it doesn't work that way all the time. And not everybody was raised the same, and not everybody has the same manners. Just being honest there. But for me, I'm not going to condemn the season off of a preseason game. What I can do is hope that he improves, hope that he gets better, hope that he gets more comfortable with having a clean pocket, because if we're going to talk about the bright side of that game, we did see a clean pocket. I believe Daniel Jones was only pressured once in that preseason game. Only one pressure. And that in itself is something that New York Giants should be proud about. Carmen Bricillo, so far in 2 preseason games is looking like he has somewhat saved the offensive line. I don't want to say he saved it because, again, we haven't played a regular season game yet. But for what I've seen, the small sample size that I've seen so far, I'm seeing competent offensive line play. Competent to good to almost really good offensive line play, especially coming off of what we look like the past 2 seasons and also the past 10 years. I looked at the PFF grades for some of the offensive linemen. I was shocked by some, happy and pleased by others. I saw that both Andrew Thomas and Jermaine Illuminor scored in the 80s as far as that goes. I was surprised with how low JMS's grade was. I believe his grade was a 31.1. And again, when it comes to PFF, Yes, it's a great source of information, great source of analytics. When I looked at that game, when I watched that game, I didn't feel like JMS did a bad job. I didn't think so at all. And that's where I have a problem when it comes to PFF. But again, you guys do what you want to do. You can live by it, die by it. However you feel about PFF, that's you. For me, not so much. I go by the eyeball test, and then I use PFF to either confirm or debate. That's what I use PFF for, because before PFF, it was just the eyeball test, and people survived for a long time off the eyeball test. But I digress. But when I'm thinking about what needs to happen and what possibly could happen, I was in the spaces last night, depending on where, when you guys watch this. I was in the spaces Sunday night, and a lot of the discussion now is what are the New York Giants going to do next year? What's the plan for next year? And I've told you guys before, I cannot worry about next year yet. I'll worry about next year in January. That's when I will worry about next year, when it is next year. But this year, I'm looking for the New York Giants to compete, for the young players to develop, and for the offense to do enough for this coaching staff to stay intact, outside of the guys that want to leave, i.e., Mike Kafka with his situation going on, because I do like the coaching staff that we have in place. But guess what? If we lose a bunch of games, I might not feel the same way. But right now, today, I feel like I like the coaching staff that's here. I like Brian Dable. I like the positional coaches. I like the defense positional coaches, and I think I'm gonna like Shane Bowen. I don't know for sure. But yeah, man, just thinking about what's going to happen this year, I still do believe that the New York Giants can beat the Minnesota Vikings. I absolutely still believe that. Outside of all the frustration that people are having with Daniel Jones, I did like the way that the defense looked. I did like the way the run defense looked, especially. New York Giants have been ranked at the very bottom when it came to run defense, and we've seen in 2 preseason games so far that we are able to stop the run so far, and I'm happy about that. We do have joint practices with the Jets this week, or actually one joint practice, I believe, is on Wednesday. The New York Giants were off today. Today is Monday. Like I said, depending on when you guys are watching it, today is Monday, the Monday after the preseason game against the Houston Texans. But I do like what I'm seeing outside of what the quarterback play is right now. A lot of young guys getting a lot of reps, a lot of chance to develop and taking advantage of the opportunities that they're given. I do think there's going to be some changes this week on who the starters are going to be, especially on the defensive side. We did see Dane Belton and Jason Pinnock start the game. I believe this week will be the first week that you see Tyler Nubin run with the ones as the first guy to come off the bench. Not the first guy coming off the bench, as in the first group. He'll be with the first group of guys, and then you'll see Dane Belton subbing. I think that's what we'll see this week. Also, when it comes to the defensive line, the bell of the ball, right? The cherry on top, the icing on the cake has been Elijah Chapman. Elijah Chapman, in a lot of people's opinion, not just mine, has made this 53 roster. He's also gave himself the opportunity to possibly be not just in the heavy rotation, he can even start. I know, right? It sounds crazy. A UDFA, quote-unquote, undersized guy has the ability or the chance to start right next to Dexter Lawrence. And I think what we saw, because the man can do everything. Everything. As a defensive lineman, he can rush the passer, he can stop the run. He has an endless motor, and also you saw this man run down a running back 40 yards down the field, and it wasn't even close. I believe the viral clip has over 4 million views. You can see it on Twitter. You can see it on YouTube. And when you have a guy like that, and it's not a fluke, it's not just a guy having a good camp, he has been dominant. And no matter who has been in front of him, he has been dominant. You can't teach that type of strength. You can't teach that type of leverage. He was born with that type of leverage, because guess what? He's only 5'11". He might even be 5'10". I don't know for sure, but he's definitely not 6 foot, in my opinion. I mean, we focus a lot on Daniel Jones. We focus because guess what? That's the quarterback, and you only go as far as the quarterback can take you. I understand that. But for me, my point of view, slightly different. I didn't believe that the New York Giants were contenders this year. What I wanted to do is see these guys develop again. I'm rooting for wins. If we make it to the playoffs, I'm going to be ecstatic for that. I'll be excited for that. But I'm not banking on the New York Giants going to the playoffs. What I do is I hope that we win more games than what we won last year. That's first off. The offense looks, the offensive line looks, good. I should say that. The wide receivers look good. The defense looks good, and we're building off of that. Is that going to be enough for the coaches and the regime to keep their jobs? We'll find that out at the end of the year. But I'm not going to throw away the season in August. That's not going to happen. And I believe a lot of people feel the same way when it comes to that. So I'm still going to be in here rooting for the New York Giants. I might be mad. You might catch me in some spaces talking down a little bit. But understand how I feel for real is the New York Giants versus everybody. Rooting for wins versus everybody, no matter the week, no matter the opponent. That's just how I do. That's just how I am as my version of a New York Giants fan. Not everybody feels the same way, but it is what it is. You're all welcome. You're all welcome. But yeah, that's it, man. Just a quick vibe session. Let me know how you guys feel. It's been 2 days since the game. Are you still feeling the same way that you felt on Saturday? Do you feel a little bit better, or do you feel even worse after some of the comments and videos that dropped, regarding our starting quarterback, Mr. Daniel Jones? So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.